Okay, today's daf is Shabbat daf Pevav. Today's shiur is sponsored by Ami Plaksin in honor of his wife Alana, who despite her busy schedule manages to find time to learn Daf Yomi. Okay. We are starting from, we're going to finish off the issue of kilayim. We're going to start with an eitive, okay, which is a question on something from before, although there's a bit of a debate what the question is on. I'll just review a little bit because I did the kilayim stuff kind of quickly, trying to get everything in before Chag. The issue with kilayim is that we're concerned with planting things together, right? The main halacha of kilayim comes up with kilei keren, which is really taking a vineyard and joining it with seeds that you plant in the ground. There's a machloket whether kilei zra'im, where you put different vegetables together, are actually asur midoraita or midorabanan. Okay, that's just a debate. I'll put it out there. And the issue here is that you want to plant a bunch of things together. You're not worried if they get they share nutrients. That's not the issue. Rashi makes that very clear. The issue is, do the roots combine either underneath or above? If you remember, we saw some of the things grow tall and then they combine together, and that's an issue. The main thing seems to be, according to Rashi at least, and like I said, there's many different opinions, which causes a lot of confusion about what exactly is going on here, about how to understand most of the cases in the Gemara here. But the issue seems to be a hekel. Rashi talks about a lot in the main Rashi is in the beginning, in the Mishnah on Pei Dalet Amud Bet, about it's a hekeret hu to be inan de lo lehavi irbuv. We need some sort of heker, some sort of noticeable way to see that these are not joined together. Okay, and that's why the last thing we saw also was about a heker. So the last thing we saw was Rabbi Yochanan said, if you want to harotzelam alot kol ginato yerek, okay, at the bottom of Pei Hamud Bet, he says you do an aruga shishal shisha and ogel b'chamisha, which is this big debate. How many circles? How can you do these circles? But somehow there's a lot of circles, or one big circle, and within that circles, or right, debate about how exactly to read this. But you can put them in circle formations, and then they each stand separately because it's a noticeable difference. And then there was a question about what about between the circles can you plant? And we have Rabbi Yana who said no, you can't. Machuriv ben Abinayim, and Rav Ashi who said if they were shtis or on erevs or on shti, you can, as long as you plant them going in the opposite direction, then that's all fine. So now we have a question. Eitive Ravina LeRav Ashi. Now, generally, when you have an Eitive Ravina LeRav Ashi, and Rav Ashi just appeared before, we assume that he's questioning Rav Ashi's understanding, that you can plant in between the rows. But some people actually explain there's a debate about is Ravina questioning just Rav Ashi, or is he questioning Rabbi Yochanan in general, this whole thing about making circles? And many explain that he's really questioning Rabbi Yochanan, but because Rabbi Yochanan's not there anymore and he's standing with Rav Ashi, he brings a question to Rav Ashi really about Rabbi Yochanan in general. So now here's his question. He says, Avodat yerek, here's a source, a Tanaitic source. Avodat yerek b'yerek, b'yerek acher, if you want to plant one vegetable next to another vegetable, shishat tfachim, right, in a space of 6 tfachim, you can do it within a 6 by 6, like we saw, v'ro'in otam kitavla merubat, as long as it's square, okay, it's planted square, it sounds like you can't plant them in circles. Sounds like kitavlahu deshare, only if it's square formations, halav hachi asur, it sounds like if it were circles, it would be a problem. So the Gemara answered, or Rav Ashi answers, hatam la'akule bakula achrina. And they said, if it's rectangular or square or rectangular, what it really means is, they're adding an additional kula. If it's, the circles can help you, like we said already, that's fine. And this isn't that it has to be square, but it's trying to tell you another heter, which is something we saw before, lahatir rosh tor hayotze hemena. We talked about before that if you have 2 fields or 2 different, it doesn't even have to be 2 separate fields. It could be 2 different types of vegetables, that one is jutting in at an angle, like a triangle, into a square field. Since it's very clear, again, this all goes back to the fact that we're looking for some noticeable difference. So since it comes at an angle like that, and the other part of the field is square-shaped, if it goes into a square shape, then it's very clear that they're 2 different fields and you don't have to worry about it. Again, as long as it's all not joining together, then it's fine. So that's the issue that they were talking about in that source about the square, that as long as it's a square, then you can even have this triangle jutting in. Whereas if it's circular, that wouldn't work. Okay, so that was just for an extra hectare. It doesn't mean you can't have things in little circle areas, which then would stand separate from each other, and that would actually be allowed also. Okay, that's the end of our kilayim issue. We're now moving into a totally separate issue. We're going to have 4 different halachot in this Mishnah of minayins, continuing along with this minayin. Where do we know the derivation of the following? But the first issue we're going to deal with is going to take us through today and more even beyond. Interestingly enough, it's going to get into a big famous machloket about what date Shavuot comes out on. Okay, so it's nice that we're right after Shavuot. And the question becomes, when was Shavuot? And how does this relate? We'll see in a minute how it relates to our issue. Okay, here starts the Mishnah. This is a woman after having relations with her husband. So theoretically, semen could come out of her body. The question is, how long does the semen stay alive in her body? That if it were to come out, semen carries tumah with it, impurities. When would she be tme'ah? For how long after? Now, the main relevance of this now, okay, this actually is relevant nowadays. I'll talk about how. In those days, it was relevant because she could be tme'ah, okay? Nowadays, it's only relevant for a woman who's in nida, and the issue is if she's poletet shechvat zera, okay, if semen comes out of her body while it's still considered alive, she can't count those as clean days. So if a woman, for example, bled for 1 day or 2 days, since we'll see the rabbis, and this becomes the basic opinion, although we're not going to see it till later on in the sugya, that it's really 72 hours that it's live. And the way they count 72 hours isn't 72 hours on the clock, but 4 onot. Okay, an onat is a time period of either day or night. So from the time they have relations, a woman has to count 6 whole time periods of day, night, day, night, day, night, or night, day, night, day, night, day, night, day. Okay, 6. And only after that can she start counting her 7 clean days, because it's possible she sees shechvat zera, okay, that it discharges from her body. This is why Sephardi women wait 4 days after getting their period. There's one more jump they make, which is when you get your period, there's an assumption, this happened much later, that the rabbis made this jump. Originally, they would count it from the time they last have relations. Over time, it developed that they count it from the time they get their periods, because there's an assumption, well, if you could have been together, then you might have been together and have relations. And therefore, from the time a woman gets her period, she counts. In other words, you get to 4 days later, you can only start counting your Sheva Nekiyim then, because of this issue of maybe you're poletet shechvat zera. Okay, so we kind of make a jump, even if you haven't been, okay, we just assume that maybe you do, and therefore you can't count till 4 days. Ashkenazim have an extra chumrah of 5 days, which I'm not going to get into the details of their chumrah. It's a chumrah of the Truma Deshen. But in any case, that's why there's the 4 or the 5 days. It all comes from this issue. Okay, so here we have, if she's poletet on the 3rd day after having relations, she's going to be tmeah. Shene'emar, where do we get this from? And this is how we get to Matan Torah. Hey, you nechonim l'shel shekemim. Before they received the Torah, Moshe told them, be ready for the 3 days. Okay, and he says, right, on the 3rd day we'll get the Torah. We're going to see exactly how these days work out. How many days was it really? Okay, and this becomes a big issue with counting. When you say, hey, you nechonim l'shel shekemim, does that mean 3 full days have to pass? Does that mean a certain amount of day-night time periods? How exactly is? We're going to see actually 4 opinions about this, how long she needs to wait. And therefore, we're going to learn it from Matan Torah. And at the end of today, we're going to get to at least one opinion about the machloket, about which day Shavuot came out, and was it on the 6th of the month, the 7th of the month? There's a big debate. One is allowed to wash the place of a brit milah, okay, a baby, bayom hashlishi, shechal liot b'Shabbat. Even if it came on Shabbat, there's a big debate here. Bayom hashlishi, does it mean only the 3rd day? Or does it mean the first 3 days, including the 3rd day? Okay, there's an opinion. We'll see why in a minute. Where did they learn this from? From Shechem. If you remember, Shimon and Levi, they decided they're going to attack people of Shechem on the 3rd day after they did the Brit Milah. So one approach is to say the 3rd day is the worst. Okay, kind of the first 2 days it's okay, and on day number 3 it gets really bad. And that's why specifically on the 3rd day we allow you to wash a baby. And then the baby's in the category of a cholesh sheyesh bo sakana. And therefore, you're allowed to wash. Where the Brit Milah was, in those days, they used to always wash, right? They thought it was important. I assume it's also so that you don't get infection. So they were allowed to do it on Friday. I'm sorry, on the third day, even if it's on Shabbat. Some people say it means the first 3 days, not specifically the third day, but within the first 3 days, the first 3 days are the hardest. So the first two, by the way, had to do with 3 days. You can see how they connected them. Not just the minayin connects them, but also the issue of 3 days. The next two are going to be connected to each other because they both have to do with Yom Kippur, but two totally different issues. One has to do with the Yom Kippur ceremony that they would do in the time of the Beit HaMikdash when they would throw the scapegoat off a cliff. So, before they threw it off the cliff, they would tie a red wool piece onto the head of the shiur mishtalech, and they would tie one on a rock. And sometimes it was said that there was a miracle that happened, that the red turned to white once the sins were atoned for. So how do you know that you tie this red wool around the head of the shiur mishtalech? Shene'amar, im yihiyu chatechem kashanim kasher le'yalbinu. We read this pasuk all the time in the Slichot, and the Yom Kippur davening comes from here. Because if your sins are shanim, what are shanim? Not years, they're shani, scarlet. Okay, if your sins were like scarlet, kasher le'yalbinu, they'll be whitened like snow. Okay, so it's this image of the red is your sins, and that's why they would put the red on the scapegoat. And there's also an allusion here to the fact that it will turn white. Okay, and they talk about this miracle that happened, they would turn white. Another issue about Yom Kippurim, how do you know that anointing is forbidden just like drinking? And some people say it's not actually midoraita. Midoraita, it's only eating and drinking. But from the rabbis, it's also anointing, right? There's 5 things you can't do on Yom Kippur. But even though we don't have a proof from the pasuk, we have an allusion to it. Here you see the way the mayim goes inside the body from drinking. The oil likewise goes into your bones when you anoint yourself, right? When you smear cream on yourself. So therefore they say shemen is like drinking. Okay, shemen in your atzamot, anointing is like that. Therefore, you can't put on cream or oil on Yom Kippur just like you can't drink. Okay, now like I said, the Gemara is going to start with the issue of plitat shechatzer. Reisha delo Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah. So the first thing they tell us, I'll already tell you there's going to be 4 different opinions about this. Right now we're going to talk about Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah. We're going to say clearly the first line in this Mishnah, Minayin lepoletet shechatzer b'yom shlishi shehi tme'ah, is not like Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah. How do we know this? We'll see in a minute. The problem is that Seifa, which is really not the Seifa, it means the next part of the Mishnah about the Brit Milah is ki Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah. Okay, we're going to have a problem because we don't like it when a Mishnah isn't said in anybody's name and one line contradicts another in terms of one line follows one rabbi and one line follows a different rabbi. It doesn't make sense generally when they do that. So we're going to basically say the first line can't be like Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah. And now we're going to see why. To eat Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, tehora shaminale. He holds, okay, it's going to come up later on about the Brit Milah, that the opinion about the Brit Milah, that you can watch the child, it can come up much later in Shabbat, is Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah's position. And when it comes to plitat shechatzer, he thinks you don't need 3 days. He thinks you only need 2 days. Okay? We're going to see that. He says she's tehora b'yom hashlishi. So therefore, what do we do here? So there's 2 approaches. Man de lo moke kitanai, if you're of the approach, and this has to do with a general approach of Mishnayot like this, if you're of the approach that you can't have a Mishnah be 2 different Tanaitic opinions, like it wouldn't make sense that one matches Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah and one goes against Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah. If you're of the opinion that the Mishnah that's organized like this has to all be one approach, then Tana Reisha Tehora, then you'd have to change. What are you going to do? You'd have to change the word Tme'ah to Tehora. And then it would say, Minayin lepoletet shechatzer b'yom hashlishi shehi tehora. And then you prove it from v'hiyu nechonim l'shloshet yamim. And again, this all depends how you do the count. Be ready on day number 3 because you've already passed 2 days. 2 days is enough. On the 3rd day, you're already going to be tehora. Umoket lalakulak Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah. So that would be your approach. You'd say the whole thing's Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah. You just one little switch. Switch impure to pure. Okay, it's not the easiest thing to switch, but we've seen this many times where they say, do the opposite. Uman demokim kitanai, if you want to say, oh, we have no problem, we could say, the beginning, one sentence is one person's opinion, one is the other. Then you'd say, Reish Rabbanan, B'Sefa K'Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah. Then you say the first line of Plitat Shech Batzera goes like the rabbis, and the second line about the Brit Milah goes like Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah. Tanu Rabbanan. Rabbanan, we're not going to see, by the way. Rabbanan, I'll already tell you, because they're the mainstream opinion that we hold by, but we're not going to see them right away, is that it's 72 hours, and it's seen this live for 72 hours, and therefore it's really 72 hours, which we call, as I said before, it's, 6 12-hour periods. So let's say you have relations, again, let's go by the original law, you have relations sometime in the middle of the night, so you'd have to start counting from the next morning, night, and then the next day you'll already be able, then already it's the next day. So now we're going to see a braita. We're going to see 3 other opinions, not the rabbis, but 3 other opinions. Here's his opinion. On the 3rd day, she's already tehora. Okay? Rabbi Yishmael Omer, Pa'amim shehem 4 onot, Pa'amim shehem 5 onot, Pa'amim shehem 6 onot. Okay, yeah. Both Rabbi Yishmael and Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah agree about one thing. The one thing they agree with is something called miktzat hayom kikulo. Where do we see this the most often? In Shiva. When you sit Shiva, you don't actually sit 7 full days. The first day, as long as you did the burial during the day, already you can sit for a little bit. We say miktzat hayom kikulo. On the last day, in the morning already, you get up. Because we say miktzat hayom kikulo. The same thing they both hold applies here. You might have thought, since we're talking about whether semen is live or not, it would go by the clock, by hours, by something. No, they say the halachic principles still stand, miktzat hayom kikulo. The difference between them is that Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah says you only need 2 days, and Rabbi Yishmael thinks you need 3 days. So the question is, how many onot will it be? According to, and they don't really explain this inside, but according to Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, theoretically, you can even have 2 onot. Let's say, okay, we'll take the example that Shabbat, okay, because Shabbat, they're going to say is the day they got the Torah. We'll always work with the example of Shabbat because they're going to learn it out from Har Sinai. So if, let's say, you have relations Thursday before sunset, so you now can count miktzat hayom kikulo, Thursday counts a little bit, and that's 1 whole day. You only need 1 more day, according to Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, which would end up 2 full onot, 2 12-hour periods of Friday night and Friday day, and already, sorry, I may have said it wrong. I meant Friday, the night of Friday, which is Thursday night, and the day of Friday, right? It's called Leil Shishi, and Yom Shishi, and the day of Friday, and already she be Torah the next night on Friday night. If you're Rabbi Yishmael, he's going to say, well, it could be, okay, so now, according to him, it could be 2 onot, the way we just said, Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah. It could actually be 3 or 4 also. If, let's say, they have relations early Thursday morning, it would be Thursday day, the night of Friday, which is Thursday night, and Friday day, it would be 3. If they have relations the very beginning of Thursday night, which is really Wednesday night, in other words, halachically, right, it goes by, so it would be, let's say, Wednesday night, then you would have Wednesday night is 1 onot, Thursday day, Thursday night, and Friday day. Okay, that would be your 4 onot. So it could be 2, 3, or 4. Rabbi Yishmael, because he adds another day and he says you need 3 days, he gets to 4, 5, or 6 in the same way. It'll just be a matter that you need 3 days altogether, so you'll need an extra 2 onot. So theoretically, you could have had relations through Wednesday night, and then you would need only Thursday, right? Wednesday would count as a day. That's already 1 whole day without counting any onot, right? And that's where you would get 1 day. And then you would have your next 2 days, onot, day and night, day and night. So then you'd end up with 4. If it was earlier on Wednesday, or it was Tuesday night, which counts as Wednesday halachically, so then you would have 5 or 6. Okay? So that's why he says sometimes it's 4, 5, or 6. Rabbi Akiva Omer Olam Chamesh. He says, we don't play this game of miktzat hayom kikulo. This is about how long it's live for. And he holds it's live not for 72 hours, like we'll see the rabbis say. He holds 60 hours, 5 onot, 5 12-hour periods, 60 hours. So therefore, he says, it goes on a clock. Im yatzta miktzat ona rishona, let's say the relations you had 2 hours into that night, let's say. So then, notnim la miktzat ona shishit, you have to make up those 2 hours. When you get to after your 5 onot pass, you have to add another 2 hours to make it a full 60 hours. Okay, so he says it's really on the clock. Okay, so there we have 3 opinions. Is it according to, right, is it 2 days with Miktzad Yom Kekulo? Is it 3 days with Miktzad Yom Kekulo? Or is it 60 hours altogether? And that's going to be different from the rabbis who actually bring a fourth opinion that it's going to be 72 hours. So, which is 6 onot, basically, right? 6 12-hour periods. So, Amarua Rabbanan Kameda Rav Papa, Ba'amri La Rav Papa L'Rava. So now they're going to have a debate about these opinions. Either the rabbi said to Rav Papa or Rav Papa said to Rava, Bishlama Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah Ki Rabbanan. Da'amre, now we're going to compare this to the machloket of the rabbis and Rabbi Yossi about when Matan Torah happened and how many days they were told to separate from their husbands, for the husbands from the wives. So, the Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah must hold like the rabbis. De'amre b'shishi aviv prisha, b'chamishi aviv prisha. He said on Thursday they were told to separate. Now, again, everyone agrees they got the Torah on Shabbat, and the assumption right now is that they must have gone to the mikveh Friday night. So if they were told to separate on Thursday, what does that mean? That you need Thursday counts as 1, Friday counts as 2. That's only 2 days. So Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah must hold like the rabbis on this opinion. Rabbi Yishmael, Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Yossi. Rabbi Yishmael must hold like Rabbi Yossi, Damar, B'Rivi'i Avid Prisha. Again, we're going to see this machloket later about what transpired from the day they got to Har Sinai until the day they got the Torah, and they're going to kind of talk about the verses and what happened when, and they're going to each have a different opinion about was it on Thursday or was it on Wednesday that they were told to separate from their wives. So if you say it was on Wednesday, well then again, Miktzad Yom Kekulo, Wednesday counts as a partial day. That counts as a whole day. That's day number 1. Thursday was day number 2. Friday was day number 3. They go to the mikveh Friday night. El Rabbi Akiva Kiman. But according to Rabbi Akiva, if they heard on Wednesday, let's say, assuming Rabbi Akiva holds basically 3 days, but he says it's 60 hours. So it doesn't make sense. If they were told on Wednesday, you don't see anywhere. It seems to go by days and not by hours. So where do you get Rabbi Akiva from? So what do they answer? La'olam ki Rabbi Yossi. He must hold like Rabbi Yossi. It was on Wednesday. They were told to separate. Keda'amar of Adabar Ava, Moshe b'hashkama alau b'hashkama yachad. Moshe went up to the mountain early in the morning and he came down early in the morning. And then, okay, once you say that, then you say he came down early in the morning and immediately told them, separate from your wives. First thing in the morning, which means now you have, okay, you're at Wednesday morning. Wednesday day is 1 onah. Thursday, day and night. Friday, day and night. That gets you up to 5 onot. You know, Friday, again, when I talk about day and night, I mean the night before Friday and Friday day. And then by Friday night, they can already go to the mikveh. So they actually show that because he told them early in the morning, that shows that that counts as a full onah. Okay, so now we've resolved everyone's opinions, and now let's just see where does he get b'hashkama ala b'hashkama yarad. B'hashkama ala, how do we know he went up early in the morning? Dichtiv vayashkem Moshe baboker vayal al Har Sinai. Right, it says he woke up early in the morning and he went up to Har Sinai. B'hashkama yarad dichtiv lech red va'alita ata va'aron imach. So they say here makish yirida aliyah. Ma aliyah b'hashkama, af yirida b'hashkama. Because it says lech red va'alita. So it says raid and it says va'alita. So you learn that the Yerida was like the Aliyah, right? Makish Yerida Aliyah. Just like when he went up, it was Bashkama. Also when he went down, it was Bashkama. So now they say, Lama le'lameimra lehu. Why do you have to say this? Why did he have to tell them? During the day. According to this, theoretically, they're anyway going to be separated during the day. Why did you need to say this? That would happen early in the morning, and that's how you get to 5:00. Theoretically, Rav Huna says the Jews are very careful and it's not sanua, so to speak. It's not modest to have sex during the day when everyone can see each other's bodies. And therefore, they say, the Jewish people are holy and they only have relations with their wives, they only have relations with each other at night. And therefore, of course, they were separated during the day. There was no reason to have to tell them early in the morning. Okay, you wouldn't even need to say that. So now they say no, because Hamarava imaya bayit afel mutal. Hamarava vitemara papa tamich chacham afil betalito umutal. Theoretically, you could have relations during the day as long as it's dark in the room, or even a talich chacham, if he wants, he can make it dark, like cover the light in the room with a talit or something, and make it dark, and then one can have relations during the day. So therefore, that's not it. That's why they needed to be told in the morning to separate from the wives, because theoretically one could have relations during the day. Okay, now we're moving on to when exactly? The assumption is they went to the mikvah Friday night because they needed to wait till there was no more Shabbat Zera, theoretically, technically speaking, coming out. Therefore, they waited and they went to the mikvah Friday night. Now you have a problem. Generally, we think of women when they're nida. They go to the mikvah Friday night and they're told, but we're not talking about nida. We're talking about Shabbat Zera. Shabbat Zera is like keri and like all those other tumot. That basically what happens, you go to the mikvah in the morning and you have to wait till sunset to actually become fully tahor. You're at this in-between stage. When you go to the mikvah in the morning and you wait till the sun sets, you're called a tful yom. Now, there's different halachot about a tful yom. You can't eat kodshim, sacrificial meat. You can't eat truma. Right? That's why the first mission in Shabbat is, right? When do we say Shema? From the time the kohanim nechasim lechol trumatan. They go to the mikvah in the morning if they're tmeim, but they can't eat until nightfall, right? Once the day ends. So if these women went to the mikvah to get the Torah, theoretically on Friday night, the Gemara asks, "V'hat tfulei yom ninhu." They're considered tful yom. How could they have gotten the Torah when they're in tful yom? You would think you need to be as holy as possible, right? If you can't eat kodshim, you can't eat truma, presumably you can't get the Torah. So shouldn't they have gone to the mikvah on Friday morning and then waited till nightfall, right? It has this one. So Abaye bar Ravin bar Chanina bar Avin da'amri travayu nitna Torah l'tful yom. They said the Torah can actually be given to a tful yom. There's no problem with that. Okay, it's enough. You've gone to the mikveh, that's enough. It's not good for kodshim, it's not good for truma, but there's no problem getting the Torah. So Yatav Reimar v'ka'amar la hashmatan. So he was teaching this law, this line about nitna Torah l'tful yom. Amar le Ravina le Mereimer. So Ravina pipes in and asks him, nitna ka'amarta or re'uya ka'amarta? Did they really receive the Torah when they were tfulot yom? Or do you mean that theoretically they could get the Torah when they were tful yom? It's a big difference, right? It's not a huge difference, but he wanted to know, did they actually get the Torah as tful yom? Or is it just that theoretically, if you wanted to, you could get the Torah when you were tful yom, but they weren't really tfulot yom? So Amalei ru'uya ka'amina. No, really what I meant was they potentially could have gotten the Torah, but they actually weren't. Okay, so what does that mean? So Rashi explains that what happened was they actually went to the mikvah on Friday morning. They had to check all day that, and it's theoretically what happened was they separated on, again, either it's Tuesday or Wednesday. We don't know which day, depending on which opinion you hold. They then, oh, by the way, I didn't mention this, but there's a debate about whether we're only talking about Rabbi Akiva's opinion or this is actually about all of the opinions. But anyway, let's just assume it applies to all the opinions. They waited whatever time they waited, but they went to the mikvah before they finished their waiting period on Friday so that they wouldn't be tful yom when they got the Torah, so that they could have Harev Shemesh Friday night and get the Torah on Shabbat. So, but what happened? They had to wait, since theoretically they could have been tful yom and they still didn't have enough days of separation. If a woman were to discharge semen throughout the day Friday after she went to the mikvah, she'd have to go to the mikvah again. And then she would go to the mikvah Friday night, and then she'd wait the whole day, make sure she didn't have anything. If she did see something, then she'd have to go to the mikvah Friday night, and she'd end up being a tful yom, and that would have been okay. That's what Mereimar says I meant. But in the end, what Rashi explains is that didn't happen. All the women went Friday morning, and nobody, almost like it was a miracle, right? No semen came out, discharged from any woman's body on Friday, and therefore nobody was actually a tful yom when it happened, but theoretically it could have happened that way. Obviously, nobody really knows what happened then, but this is the rabbi's, view that this is, this didn't actually happen. No one was really a tful yom when they got the Torah. You could see why they wanted to make it that everybody was purely, as holy as possible. Nobody had anything, right? They'd rather say, even though theoretically speaking, it wouldn't have been a problem. So now they say, well, if the whole issue is the Harev Shemesh, which is important, the sun setting, so now the assumption is we got the Torah when? Shabbat morning, okay? So they suggest, why do we get the Torah on Shabbat morning? Why didn't we say they should tovel right before the sun sets, and then they could receive the Torah right after sunset, right? That would be the obvious. Wait till toward the end of the day, go to the mikvah, and then they can get the Torah immediately after. And why? It's kind of asking two questions. Why didn't they tovel at the end of the day? And number two, why didn't they get the Torah right then if they were tovelim at that point? If they start going to the mikvah Friday night, we understand they went to the mikveh Friday night, well then, they were busy going to the mikveh, so they didn't get the Torah then. But if, theoretically, they could have gone during the day, why didn't they do that and then get the Torah at night? So Amar Rabbi Yitzchak, lo merosh b'seter dibarti. God didn't speak in secret. In other words, at nighttime. God didn't want to speak to the people during the night. He wanted them to get the Torah during the day, right? The full show during the day, so everyone can see. The lit belu b'tzafra d'shabta, the kavlu Torah b'tzafra d'shabta. Well, then, if you could be theoretically a tful yom, and that's not an issue, then why didn't they go to the mikveh in the morning of Shabbat and then get the Torah after that? So here's an interesting answer. Amar Rabbi Yitzchak, shelo yehei halalu hochim lekabel Torah v'halalu hochim l'tfilah. They wanted everybody to wake up in the morning and go in the same direction. They didn't want some people going to the mikveh and other people going to get the Torah, and then those people will come late. And they wanted, you wake up in the morning, everybody's going to the same place. They're done with you. It's kind of like you're going on a big trip, right? You prepare all your food the night before, everything's ready so that you can just go in the morning and get it. Amar Rabbi Chia b'Rabbi Abba, Amar Rabbi Yochanan. Zo divrei Rabbi Yishmael v'Rabbi Akiva. And here we get, okay, so according to Rabbi Yochanan, this is what we said before. We have these three opinions. It's interesting. They didn't talk about Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah here. I guess they're kind of rejecting him. But they're saying within those who hold you need 3 days. So we have Rabbi Yishmael who holds mitzvah yom kikulo. We have Rabbi Akiva who says you don't need 3 full days. You need 60 hours, 2.5 days. Aval chachamim omrim 6 onot shleimot binam. The rabbis say you need actually 6 12-hour periods. You need 72 hours. So Amar Rav Chisda, machloket, now Rav Chisda comes in and says, machloket, and as I said, by the way, the rabbis is what we hold by. Amar Rav Chisda, machloket shepirsha min ha'isha. This whole issue about semen being live for 72 hours is only when it comes out of the woman's body. Aval pirsha min ha'ish, now we've learned about this before, that shechat zera carries tumah with it. So if it comes out of a man's body and it's on, let's say, a cloth, so that will be tameh, that cloth. So what if it comes out of a man? There's different criteria. It's not a matter of time. It's a matter of, is it still moist? Okay, now theoretically, the sources seem to talk about that it could be more than 72 hours. To me, it seems like, how is it going to stay moist for that long? You probably think it would be less than 72 hours, but they say basically it's a different criteria entirely, okay? And the issue here, and we're going to see this later, that they assume inside the woman's body it's hot, it's warm, and our body temperature is warm, and because of that, well, we'll see other reasons why our body temperature is going to be warm. The Gemara is going to suggest all sorts of things that are going to seem strange to us. And because it's warm, it causes it to spoil quicker, okay? And therefore, if it comes from the man's body and it's on some cloth, it could theoretically it could last longer than that. Mativ Rav Sheshet. Rav Sheshet now questions from the following source. Which sounds like shechvat zera that's coming from a man. Prat l'shechvat zera she'srucha says if that's to exclude one that goes bad. And the assumption is, what does it mean goes bad? Time elapses and not dried out, right? Going spoiled is not dried out. That's different. So they say, my lav she'pirshamina ish, and therefore it seems like srucha is an issue, whether it goes spoils at a certain period of time. So they say, lo she'pirshamina isha, no, when they're actually talking about a beged or clay or something that has semen on it, and that when it spoils, the spoiling is referring to when it comes out of a woman's body and not from a man's body. By Rav Papa, shechvat zera shel Yisrael b'me'ei kutit ma'u. Here comes the very odd question. What if a man has relations with a non-Jewish woman? Is the body temperature, okay, here's an interesting question, is the body temperature of a non-Jewish woman the same as the body temperature of a Jewish woman? And we'll see why the Gemara thinks that it's different. Very strange reason. Yisrael di'ige b'mitzvot chavil gufayu. Because Yisraelim, okay, and women are very worked up about doing mitzvot. Okay, it's important to them to do mitzvot, and that gets them somewhat worked up. So, right, people who are always worked up about mitzvot, right? You got to get to minyan on time, you got to get to here, right? So here they talk about the women that are worked up about mitzvot. Maybe, and they talk about Yisrael in general, but here obviously they mean the women because we're talking about the body temperature of the women. Maybe their body temperature is higher, and therefore it spoils quicker. But akum, non-Jewish women, de lo de'ige b'mitzvot lo, since they don't have mitzvot on their heads, maybe their body temperature is not as hot. Strange assumption, but they had different understandings of things in those days. Odilma, or maybe kevanda achlan shkatzimu rimasim chavil gufayo, or maybe their body temperature is the same as ours, not for the same reason, and almost the opposite reason. Right? They eat non-kosher critters, bugs and creepy crawlers, And maybe that raises their body temperature. And it's the same as Jewish women, their body temperature for different reasons. The intim salomar, kevanda, achlesh, katsimu, remasim. Now you have to remember, I want to make it very clear. If a man has relations with a non-Jewish woman, then, and the semen comes out of her body, she's not tme'ah, okay? Until now, we've been talking about the woman being tme'ah. She's not, because she's not Jewish. She doesn't have tumah in that way. But she does have, what happens is if the semen comes out of her body and goes onto a cloth, it could make that cloth tameh. Okay, that's what we're talking about here. Not her, but coming out of her body onto something. Now they say, okay, if you thought that was strange, now they say, what about b'me'eh behemam mahu? Okay, if you want to say, look, the non-Jewish women are like the Jewish women. Their body temperature is hot because, right, because they eat non-kosher, and the Jewish women because they're worked up about mitzvot. But what if a man has relations with an animal? Do you say, Isha di la prosdor masrachat? The woman has the vaginal canal, which takes it, and there's space there where it has space to kind of, as it travels, it could go sour. But behema delate la prosdor lo, but the animal's body isn't like that and doesn't have this canal where it goes through, and therefore it won't get rots as quickly. Odilma loshna, right? So if you say they're either the non-Jewish woman's body temperature is not the same, or the animal doesn't have this canal to kind of take it where it would kind of rot in there, then you would say that the semen actually stays longer in their bodies, and maybe it would be tameh for even longer. Okay, and obviously the Gemara answers these questions. Teku, nobody really knows the answer. Okay, now we're only going to start this big machloket that we made reference to before about what day the Jews received the Torah. Again, like I said, it would have been nicer if we learned this 2 days ago on Shavuot, but it's a nice thing to learn even right after Shavuot. What day did Shavuot come out? So the Gemara starts off, Tanu Havana, B'shishi b'chodesh nitnu aseret hadibrot l'Yisrael. Rabbi Yossi omer b'shiv abo. So machloket rabbis and Rabbi Yossi, was it on the 6th of Sivan or the 7th? We have it on the 6th. In Chutz La'aretz, it's both the 6th and the 7th, but it's really based on the 6th. But Rabbi Yossi actually held that it was the 7th of Sivan. Amar Rav. It's, by the way, strange, right? All the other holidays, it's very clear what the date is. Shavuot, it counts it 7 weeks from Pesach. And it all depends on how many days there are of Rosh Chodesh, which affects what date it is. So, b'shishi b'chodesh nitnu aseret, Rabbi Yossi omer b'shiv abo. So, Amar Rav. Dekulei alma, Rav is now going to explain their opinions. How do we get to, so we're going to start with one, and then we'll get to the other one tomorrow. Dekulei alma b'rosh chodesh atu l'midbar Sinai. Everybody agrees they got to Midbar Sinai on Rosh Chodesh. How do we know this? K'tiv hacha, bayom hazeh ba'u Midbar Sinai. It says in the psukim there, on that day, okay, that being the operative word, hazeh, they got to Midbar Sinai. Uchtiv hatam, and it says in the beginning of Shmot, hachodesh hazeh lachem rashi chodashim. This is in Shmot Yubet. This month will be to you the Rosh Chodashim. It's when Nisan becomes the first of the year. And it says hazeh. Ma lahalam Rosh Chodesh. That happened on Rosh Chodesh. So afkam Rosh Chodesh, it must be. There it says hazeh and remember Rosh Chodesh. Therefore, on that day they got to Midbar Sinai. That must be Rosh Chodesh. Udekulei alma. And the other thing everybody agrees about is b'Shabbat nitna Torah l'Yisrael. Everybody agrees they got the Torah on Shabbat. So Rosh Chodesh they know, Shabbat they know. But obviously that doesn't help you with dates. How do we know it? We got the Torah on Shabbat. An interesting way they learn it. Zachorik Yom Shabbat lekadsho. It says in the Aseret HaDibrot, remember the day of Shabbat. Uchtiv hatam, and it says by Yetziat Mitzrayim, by Yomer Moshe La'am. By the way, you notice they keep comparing Yetziat Mitzrayim to Matan Torah. Moshe says to the people, Zachor et hayom hazeh. Remember this day, the day you got out of Egypt. Just like he said it to them on the day they got out of Egypt. It said, remember this day. Afkan, when it says Zachor Yom Shabbat, God was saying, remember this day. This day is Shabbat. Okay? Afkan b'itzu Moshe Yom. So it must have been Shabbat. We got the Aseret HaDibrot because it says, remember this day. And just like it said, remember, right? It doesn't actually say, remember this day. It says, remember the Shabbat. But because when it said Zachor Yom Hazeh by Yetziat Mitzrayim, it was this day, they say that must be this day, and they got the Torah on Shabbat. Ki pligi b'kviyah diarcha. What they debated was when Rosh Chodesh was. Rabbi Yossi savar b'cha b'Shabbat ikva yarcha. Rabbi Yossi says Rosh Chodesh happened on Sunday. U'b'cha b'Shabbat lo amar lehu v'lo midi. And then they start to describe the order of events. Maybe tomorrow I'll try to chart it out and bring you the psukim and show exactly how it was. I didn't have a chance because of Chag, but maybe I'll get to it by tomorrow. So he says, they got to Midbar Sinai on Sunday. That day, Moshe didn't speak to the people because he was too tired from walking, right? They just gotten there, okay, right? It's not the best time to start telling the people. So that day was a break. Then the Trei B'Shaba Amar Lehu V'atem Tiyuli Mamlechet Kohanim. On the second day of the week, he then, okay, if you see the psukim there, the next thing he says to them, you will be to me a Mamlechet Kohanim B'Goy Kadosh. Bitzlata, they basically break up the passage and say, okay, that happened on day number 2. On the third day, Amar Lu Mitzvat Hagbala, right? Say, make a border around the mountain, don't come close. But Arba'a Avid Prisha, on the 4th day, he told them to separate from their wives. Now you see, day number 4, right? This was Wednesday, which means 3 days of separation. Okay, and then, okay, so we'll stop here, okay, because this is Rabbi Yossi's opinion, that on Wednesday, they were told to separate from their wives, which gets you to the 3 days. And what we'll see next time is the rabbis and where they get this and how they calculate the days and how they get when mitzvah prisha was given, and that leads to the different opinions that we saw today.